Oh. Listen, if you don't mind, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Excuse everybody, our lawyer's going to be about 5 to 10 minutes late, so we'll wait a little bit on him. Sorry for the delay.
We don't do that. I'm just gonna forward. Yeah, you did that. Yeah, I think they're like, we're ready. That's for them. Think about it. That's true. Same. Okay. I'll just reply to him.
Do I tell them? Chairman, we have quorum.
Okay, we have a quorum. It is 5:07. I'm calling this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Chairman Anker Jensen.
Present.
Vice Chairman Dr. Joe Hinojosa.
Present.
Treasurer Gerardo Gonzalez.
Present.
Secretary Liliana Elizondo.
Present.
Board Member Frank Orozco Jr.
Present.
Board Member Anna O'Quinn.
Present.
Board Member Benjamin Peña.
Here.
Next item, public comment period. There wasn't any comment registered, Chairman. Next item, closed session pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Section 551.071 and 551.072 and 551.087 related to Project Industrial, and 551.071 related to retail service study agreement with Public Utility Board of the City of Brownsville, Texas, PUB.
I need a motion to go to executive.
Make a motion. Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. We are going to executive. We will be back as soon as we can. I need a motion to reconvene? Okay, we're back. I need a motion to reconvene.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. We are back in the meeting, open meeting. Next on the agenda.
Next item, consideration and action, if any, including but not limited to the adoption of board resolutions related to the items discussed in executive session. Project Industrial, Retail Service Study Agreement with BPUB.
I will make a motion to proceed as discussed in executive session.
Second.
Are we doing this correct? To sign.
Motion that authorizes him to do that.
You want to amend your motion?
Yes.
I'll amend my motion to conform with the comments of council.
We have a motion. Do I have a second? All those, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion passes. Next.
Next item,
No, wait, hang on a second. The next, we done, we had another one, an executive.
That was it.
There's only those two. Those two.
We voted on the two now?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
good.
correct, Chairman. We can
All
move
right,
on.
thank you.
next item, consideration and action, if any, on the following items. A, approval of the minutes of special workshop and regular board meetings. A, regular, July 18, 2024. B, acknowledgement regarding the payment of vendor services invoice to the Greater Brownsville Incentive Corporation for the month of July 2024.
To approve as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I have a motion to accept, and I have a second. Any discussion? I assume you all been through it. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, the motion passes. Next.
Next item, staff report, business retention and expansion and workforce development efforts, marketing and communication strategic efforts, business recruitment events and sponsorship. Business retention and expansion and workforce development efforts by Giovanna Rangel.
Come on, Joanna, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good evening. So just a little recap on this past month. I visited 9 different businesses, one of them being AD Welding and Welding Works. I met with the owners and, you know, during my conversation, we identified 16 acres of land available for expansion. They have 2 different propositions, potentially expanding their current warehouse, which their warehouse is about 64,000 square feet. So they did ask for some advice as to, you know, how many clients and stuff are coming into Brownsville and what's the need to see if that's a possibility for them to expand. The other option is to obviously sell their acres. From those 16 acres, about 13 of them are industrial space and about 2.5 are commercial space, right? So Eliasar and I were able to meet with them and discuss. We actually have a follow-up meeting on Monday and we'll continue to assist them. We also worked on Larson Telex expansion project, so they're set to commence within the next 30 days. They're getting ready to ramp up. I still cannot disclose what kind of project they're working on, but it's a green energy project. It's going to bring about 60 new jobs to Brownsville. So they are interested in obviously pursuing a performance agreement. We've already started that process. We're waiting the financials, and then potentially in the next board meeting, we will present it. In addition to that, they're also interested in the SDF grants for training for those new and current employees that they have. I also connected 3 of the employers that I visited during this past month with TSTC. to secure an SDF for the employee training grant as well. The application process is underway. As we get closer, I will, disclose what employers are the ones working on those
Excuse me,
SDF grants.
what
Yes,
is
sir.
SDF?
Skills development funding for training from the state. So this is funding that the state offers for a technical college to train, in this particular instance, it'd be TSTC who would be providing the training for the employer based on whatever curriculum that is that they need.
The State Development Fund.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. In addition to that, obviously in connection to that, I secured a meeting with Workforce Cameron Solutions and TSTC just to discuss on the multiple grant proposals that we're currently working on to ensure that we're all aligned with the same goal.
These are grants for training?
I'm so sorry, couldn't hear you.
These are grants for training?
Yes, sir. All of these training grants are for training for their current employees and for new employees, of course.
Okay.
The training can be done within a year, right, span, and so that's something that the college arranges with the employer. We just connect them, right? So what else? So I also attended the B2Z engineering grant opening as part of the Bienvenidos Committee that I'm a part of. In addition to that, we've initiated the outreach for employers for Careers in Coffee 2024. This is going to be happening October 16th. As soon as we have more details on that, we will disclose that with you guys. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rangel. Marketing and Communication Strategic Efforts by Alexa Perez.
Good afternoon, board members. So in last board meeting, I presented you 4 priority projects. I'm going to provide you the update on those. The first one, of course, it was the website. I know I provide you the 3 proposals that we received. So one of them, of course, we choose one of them. And just to let you know, as of now, we're currently in the stage number 4 that you can see on your screen. That means that we're already reviewing the landing page, the homepage, and everything. In fact, today I already have a meeting this morning, well, kind of like this afternoon, to review the look and feel of the website. They call it like that, and just to show us how actually it's going to look with all the animations and with all of the colors and the new branding. It actually looks really, really good. So based on this timeline, probably we're going to be reaching out at stage number 7, which is the launch within the next 3 to 4 weeks, approximately. Of course, we will be sending all of you the link before we launch it for your review, for your input, and your feedback. Next slide, Marlene, please. And the second one is the interactive experience at the airport. I know we mentioned this in last board meeting. We already had the meeting with the airport in regards to the MOU. And we agree, of course, on the maintenance terms, and the airport actually sent the outline to us in regards to the MOU, and we're going to be sending that to legal. Once we get that, next board meeting, hopefully we'll be bringing the 3 proposals. We just want to ensure that we have the MOU before we bring the proposals for the project. Next slide, please. I think there was one before that one. Okay, that's fine. Okay, and the last one, of course, in regards to the billboard. So we have great news. I know, Ms. Elizondo, you mentioned something about having maybe the billboard, the one that's up at Dryland, and I told you it was my fault. So the day after the board meeting on July, I called Lamar and I asked them about when was the expiration date on that, and they told me that actually was available. So we did remove the 2 digital billboards from the previous contract, and we added that one, the one from the island, and another one on International and Southmost and International. So we are still continuing with a plan of 5, but it came out actually really good because instead of having the proposed contract of $67,000, now it's $63,396, which is $4,000 less than that, and they are all printing billboards. Next Tuesday, we're going to be in Monterrey doing the tour to select the billboards over there, and we're currently exploring as well some billboard opportunities in Querétaro.
Excuse me. Just go back to the slide again. You've got all these billboards. You also got one in Cameron Park.
In Cameron Park,
Yeah.
they don't have
Three.
they don't have printed billboards over there. That's why they don't have printed billboards. The ones that are print, they only have digital billboards.
Okay, but there's a mark here for, is that not where you want to put them? Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
No, I mean, the company Lamar, they just send it in that way, but I mean, basically, we have the one in Superior Island, the other one is on International, then the other one you will see is in San Benito, the fourth one in Mercedes, and the fifth one between, San Juan and McAllen.
Okay.
And just to give you, show you the artworks that we currently have, if you want to go to the next slide, Marlene. So that's the current one that we have for the one at the island. All of the billboards are gonna be, they're gonna put them between August 26th and September the 2nd. So the idea, it was to create something that is not only gonna be just like a printed huge big banner. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna put extensions, which means that the majority of the text is gonna be like in 3D, and they're also gonna put LED lights in the back of the logo or in the back of the letters. In that way, everyone can see it even still during the night. That one, of course, is at the island, and the next one, Marlene, it will be this one, since we noticed that there are a lot of companies surrounding the area where this one will be located in the International. That's why we decided to focus this one on employment growth, to promote all of these companies to reach out to us for the job creation opportunities that we have. And then the next one, it's a little bit more futuristic. If you see all of these letters, they're gonna be popping up from the billboard, around the astronaut, and around the flag. We're gonna have LED lights as well, so it shows, it lights up during night, and this one will be located in McAllen. And now we're missing only the artwork for Mercedes and San Benito. So we should have those probably between Monday and Tuesday. Any questions for?
I have a question. Where did you get the pictures to put onto the billboard?
I didn't get this. Actually, these were provided through Lamar, and they use license for those. They have some pictures licenses, and I assume they will probably pay either their annual or monthly subscription to a company. So they are responsible for the copyright of the images.
Mine is the same.
Mhm.
I think it's important that when we put billboards like that or messaging like that, you're trying to recruit, right? So you want the picture to represent your community.
Mhm.
So to me, that's important because when I'm looking at it and,
Yes.
and you say you're gonna go visit Monterrey and Querétaro, we need to be, we need to represent our community.
Yes. Okay.
So I don't know if there's different pictures that we can select from
Yes.
that definitely represents our community and the jobs that we're looking to promote.
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem. I can request that.
Don't forget,
That is a good point.
the majority of our population here is Hispanic.
Yes.
So get some Hispanic pictures on there.
Yeah, actually, one of the things that I did provide it, especially for the ones in Mercedes and San Benito, I did provide them with a lot of the pictures from the visits that we have done. So they can use some of those. So I am expecting from the ones from Mercedes and San Benito to have some of our pictures. So what I'm gonna do, thank you to your feedback, is that I'm gonna be asking them then to change this so it represents the community. But it will be kind of like the same idea, of course, of the design.
And I think going forward, that's extremely important that you kind of oversee that, you say, okay, does this reflect our community for anything that we do when it comes to marketing? Because
Yes.
that's what it's called, marketing.
Okay,
Thanks.
Chris?
Or even the businesses that we have helped, get.
Correct,
pictures of
yes.
them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Next item, business recruitment by Jerry Briones.
Thank you, Alexa, thank you.
Thank you. So starting out with the last international trip that I attended, which was the Farnborough International Air Show. I went there with Mr. Angel Ramos, who's the director at the Brownsville International Airport. So we came back with a total of 6 leads. In your packets, I actually list the companies that we spoke to, but one company was for Germany. We had 2 from the United Kingdom, 1 from Sweden, 1 from Austria, and 1 from the United Kingdom. Each company is a little bit of space related, actually quite a bit space related. And if you see the picture on the top, that's Lilium. they're actually looking for a space to come into the US already. They also require power, unfortunately, not only to recharge their own batteries, but also to charge any other, airplanes that they would use, because it's completely electric. So on business inquiries, we did have 7 RFIs that came in through the state. We didn't respond to any. Most of them were either requesting an existing building. Most of them, actually, quite a few of them had power requirements of 4.1 megawatts up to 15 megawatts. And then today we got one that was even further above that, all of that. Last month, I talked about having gone to Team Texas Select USA, and that we were waiting for the leads to come back from all the different people that visited our booth. We got the list, and we had 256 leads that came in. So I'm going to be actually I already started going through the list and kind of sectioning out those that are looking for something down South Texas way. So there was a lot of European companies that are looking, as well as from Asia. We also had 2 inquiries from private landowners. One had some property he wanted to sell. One, actually, Mr. Garrido called us yesterday and said that he completed 20,000 square feet at his property there on International, so that if we had anybody, he was willing to work a deal on square footage, and that was great for us. We also had a meeting, Giovanna and I, with the gentleman, Mr. Lemkin from Cosmic Shielding. He's looking at scaling his operations that he's had for a while. He's the one that has that special film that goes on the electronics for space vehicles. So that's something we're gonna be talking to him here, I think, next month. I asked him for a proposal and hopefully a business plan of what it is that he actually wants to talk to us about. So he said he'd work on that. I also had a holdover from our Germany trip that I've been talking to you, and I've kind of mentioned it a couple of times. I had a Zoom call with the gentleman last week, and they're looking to scale as well. They are planning to come into the area, and I'll make that connection to BCIC and UTRGV, because they want some space at the incubator so they can start doing their due diligence of coming over. They are an IT company, technology company, so we're very interested in that company. So in total, from our European trips, we've had seven leads. Next. Under our events and sponsorships, the picture on the far left is just a picture where the state of Texas was also representing at Farnborough in London. They're in talking to Mr. Dale Robertson from TEDC. The state was there not with any EDOs. They were there with Texas companies looking for suppliers, or looking for contacts, or looking for customers. So they had a total of about 12 different customers. One of them I actually made contact with while I was there. He has a manufacturing industry in Houston, and he's looking to expand a different line of his production, and he's very interested in Brownsville. So he's going to be taking a trip down here to see what we have that may suit him. He's not ready to go right, but he said, I'm ready to go in about 3 to 6 months. So it may be something for next year. The mayor made an introduction with Ms. Jessica Gonzalez, from the board president at BISD. So we donated 200 backpacks, mesh backpacks, and 200 school kits for the kids for BISD. And they were ecstatic because they had already run out of all the ones that they had gotten before, and they had schools calling them left and right asking for additional backpacks. The one on the bottom is our presentation, or our representation at Lead Fiber, where they had the first customer there that tapped into their fiber, and he was ecstatic. He's a gamer, he's a streamer, and he said that so far he hasn't had any issues with the BTX fiber that we're providing. So we're waiting for the rest of the rollout. The picture on the right hand is just myself and Mr. Angel. He's just to let you know, he's very well connected in the aviation industry. you know, we were there and we had people coming up to him and say, "Hey, Angel, I hadn't seen you. Where are you now?" And we had people from Boeing, we had people from TRX, which is used to be Raytheon. So he would like to go back next year, and he said, "Jerry, I think for next year, now that we know what we're dealing with, because this was my first time, maybe we'll be better prepared to do some research here." And then on the bottom is just the space zone that they had there at Farnborough. Is there any questions from anyone? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, sir.
The aviation company, I understand these are personal drones, or they're going to be?
Yes, so there's actually a couple of drone. Stromkind GmbH is one. Hart Aerospace, and they're in your packets. I just didn't want to put them up on the screen. But they're in your packets in a description of what each company does. One that was very interesting was actually Aerospace Wales. They're the UK company. They're an incubator / accelerator, and their main sponsor is Boeing. Boeing provides all the sponsorship, everything. Some of the instructors and the GM for the program they're actually Boeing employees. We had a real good conversation. It happened that the lady is from Dallas. So she said, "Next time I'm in Dallas going home, I want to make a trip down there because I think there are some things that we can work on." We were in heavy competition with Alabama. Alabama had a very aggressive team there. And of course, they use Boeing, they use everybody that they have there. The one thing they didn't have that we do is an incubator. So I threw out that UTRGV incubator any chance I could, because they were talking about Auburn, they were talking about this, and we have this, we have that. And I said, "Well, you know what, we have the University of Texas, so we can match up if you want." But it was, in my view, I think it was a pretty good trip. But I think for sure we need to research it a little bit better if we return.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Briones. Next item, discussion, consideration, and possible action related to the payment for performance with Creative Liquid Coatings.
Okay, so tonight's first action item is regarding the first annual compliance reporting for Creative Liquid Coatings, CLC. Based on their performance agreement, they were supposed to create 150 new jobs. They do have a 3-year term to do that. After reviewing the reporting and based on the qualifications regarding the wage rate, they created 125 jobs in the past year. So again, our staff recommendation is to approve $322,000 in accordance to the contract for creating those 125 jobs. Again, 91 of those employees that earn less than $14 qualify for a $2,000 incentive. 8 of those were employees that were in range 14.01, to less than $16, and so on and so forth. So again, after reviewing those reportings that you guys have in your package, we've determined that they created 125 new jobs, and we recommend for the first payment to be $322,000.
How much the first payment?
$322,000?
And they met all obligations?
Yes, sir.
And I know that at one of the meetings, we had talked about when we do performance agreements to keep it at one scale wage. But this was done, I think, last year.
Prior.
Before my time. So that's why it still shows as a scaled wage.
I think it's going to be very difficult to ask a company to have the same wages for everybody. So you probably will have to stick to different wages.
And that's just the direction that I was given last time. So I can, whatever.
And for this one, within the contract, it was very specific, right? If they were within that wage range, they get a specific incentive. So we were able to filter out, based on that, how many employees were paid at what range, and how many jobs were created as well. So
On the list, I did see some terminations. Are those included in here, or they're not?
yes, sir. Yes.
They are?
Yes. So their baseline was 275. They ended up with 737 employees. Out of those 737 employees, they terminated 310. And then, of course, we take in consideration the 275 baseline, and we come up with the 125. And again, based on the contract, we include employees that were hired after October 1st, 2022, all the way to 2023.
So of those 125, they're still there right now.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And we will hold them when it comes again for renewal for the second year, we will hold them to the numbers that they submitted. So for the retention part of it, right?
Yes.
And then they've got another
25.
25 more employees to do.
Contractually obligated to make these payments now? First one?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, so any more discussion?
Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion or.
Would you want, I need a motion to,
Motion to approve.
and a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, the motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item. Discussion. Consideration and possible action, if any, Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation, BCIC, is requesting space funding initiatives for the amount of $500,000.
Sorry about that. Good evening, Chair, board members, and Nathan Burkhardt, Vice President of BCIC. First and foremost, thank you so much. In the 5 years that I've worked with BCIC, this is the first time that such a partnership proposal has even been discussed between both of our organizations. But more importantly, I would really like to thank Jerry as well for kind of making this all happen. I have a lengthy amount of slides to go through. I'm going to try to go through them as fast as possible. If at any point you have a question, please feel free to interrupt me. I know you have quite a few agenda items on the deck tonight, so I want to get through this as fast as possible. Before I can really even get into the depth of this partnership proposal and the programs we offer, I really want to talk about this ecosystem of entrepreneurship that we're creating here within Brownsville at the eBridge Center. When we talk about an ecosystem of entrepreneurship, it's exactly this. Kind of finding the best people in our backyard, giving them the resources they need to create their ventures and scale those businesses, create more jobs. And then from that, keep that cycle going so that we can create more opportunities for our best and brightest here. For far too long, when I grew up in this community, success meant leaving Brownsville, finding other more affluent communities to start your business or utilize your degree. That's no longer the case here. Things are changing. But in order to really have a robust local startup scene or even robust ecosystem of entrepreneurship, we need to have a startup incubator just like this. So this is the breakdown here. Our people would be the talent pipeline that I mentioned, along with the champions and ecosystem builders ourselves, you all, UTRGV, Texas A&M, which I'll get into in a second. The programs that we have, along with events that include our incubation and acceleration, the kind of connections and networking that we take place within the eBridge Center itself, the vast array of networks that we have within the community that we've built. And I should have updated this slide, but there's probably about another 5 or 6 that we've added in this year just alone, as well as the access to capital, which is the #1 barrier to all entrepreneurs that we've been able to accelerate with our eBridge Fund, the angel investment group that we just announced last May, as well as our seed fund program that we'll be getting into shortly. And lastly, the data that we get from this. We utilize Placer AI. We have a robust MailChimp and Salesforce CRM system, as well as kind of telling the story of everything that we've been doing with our Border and Sea program. So overall, the eBridge Center, our mission, like I said, is to ensure that everyone who wants to start their own small business or even a startup has a place to go to here in Brownsville. It's actually become an epicenter, not just for those in Brownsville, but all over the Rio Grande Valley. We really want to equip the next generation of entrepreneurs with the skills and resources to create jobs, retain those jobs, access capital, and scale commercially. The partnership purpose for this specifically is to leverage both of our resources together. Show this community that is wishing for more collaboration between both of our organizations, that we're both committed to creating local jobs and spurring, supporting our small businesses. This is kind of a quick path of how our programs work within the eBridge Center. We have 3 levels of ideation programming, our Blueprint Business Program that I'll be getting into in a little bit. We have our boot camp. It's a startup boot camp. It's a 3-day program over a weekend. We usually do that in conjunction with Geekdom in San Antonio, if familiar with that organization. And then we have our newest program, our Frontera Leadership Initiative. This one's really targeted towards 18 to 26-year-old first-generation college students, first in their family to go to college, that are most susceptible to leaving our community. We want to capture that talent that would otherwise go and start a venture somewhere else and make sure that they start that here in Brownsville. We have our incubator, the eBridge Center, the incubation services, and the soft landing for those 7 companies that Jerry had just mentioned earlier. They're going to be going through phase 2 here at the eBridge Center through our partners, UTRGV's ECC. We have a lot of workshops. I'll get into all of those in a few slides as well. We have our Keynote Accelerator program that's been going on for 5 years now and invested over $500,000 in startups here and created or supported over 20 companies. And then we have our growth and support programs, and those are separate programs that are not within this partnership, but those that BCIC focuses on, such as our downtown revitalization, our eBridge Fund for Capital Attainment, and Border and Sea. So I'll get into the Blueprint Business Program. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt me. This is our Keynote Ideation level program. It's facilitated in both English and Spanish. We've been doing this program for well over 5 years now. We usually have only done 6 cohorts a year, English and Spanish, so 3 in English, 3 in Spanish. It's a 7-week intensive course that teaches you everything from your financial projections, creating your business plan, ensuring your projections are nominal, kind of poking holes in the idea of your business. The vast majority of businesses that have undergone our accelerator program started here. So this is really geared toward those that are still at an ideation level and also legacy businesses that are looking to either kind of pivot or change their revenue stream or kind of innovate their business. This is the program that they'd undertake. Normally, we've only done 6 a year. This year alone, though, we've been receiving well over 100 applications for this program every time we have a cohort, and we can only accept 30. So next year, we're going to be doing 12 of these. A couple of the businesses that have undergone this programming that you may be familiar with, Jolie Petite, Warbler Coffee, IQ's Juice, and Amoripan. Amoripan actually went through our Startup Accelerator as well. Our Startup Texas program, this is a program we've been doing since 2019. It was first conceived when 2 entrepreneurs came to us specifically when we were thinking about creating an accelerator and a startup program. They were offered somewhere around $25,000 to $30,000 from downtown Los Angeles Economic Development Corporation to relocate to that city. They didn't want to leave to LA. They wanted to commercialize and scale their business locally here in Brownsville, but they did not have access to capital that they needed. We were already thinking of creating a seed fund, and that kind of validated our idea to do that. So we've had this program since 2019. It's pivoted last year. We included an accelerator program component as well. I'm proud to say that that company that came to us for assistance ended up winning funds from there. They scaled up. They are JZD. They're on the shelves of Target. They have an exclusive partnership with SoulCycle. I'm under an NDA, but there's going to be an enormous partnership coming out really soon that I'm very excited about. And that puts Brownsville on the map. That shows that there is an opportunity to create your venture here in scale. We have a pitch competition, a demo day at the end of every cohort. There's another company of ours, iBet. They're actually a soft landing with the university. We have 2 variations of this program. We used to have 3. We included a quality of life cohort where we would focus on food and service related industries. We're pivoting now. Our strategic plan for BCIC is still underway, but early results show us that we really need to have this program focused specifically on tech, light manufacturing, energy, healthcare. So we'll have 2 emerging industry cohorts, as well as an SBIR STTR innovation program, which stands for Small Business Innovation Research and Tech Transfer Research Innovation. That specific program is in partnership with Texas A&M's Engineering Experiment Station. So they partnered with us in 2021 to start giving this program, and we do it every summer. I invite you all to actually come to our demo day on September 12th over at the TSC Performing Arts Center, where we'll be showcasing the 7 companies that are undergoing incubation with this program. Overall, the program, the types of businesses that we've been investing in, this was last year. We've got iBed. They are a manufacturer of health products. Hempline Homes. They make a hemp-based solution that is extremely fortified for fire. The owner of that is actually the owner of the company is out of Paradise, California. If you recall, a couple of years ago, that entire community burned down in a fire. So that was kind of the inspiration to creating this company. He wanted to set up shop here locally in Brownsville, particularly because of SpaceX. And then we have BuildCo. They're a software development company that is really innovative. You can kind of drag and drop your own blueprints, and it kind of gives you a ballpark figure of how much the design is going to cost for budgetary issues.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
On iBed, what are they doing?
iBed's manufacturing the bed. It's a bed for, it looks exactly like that. They undergone incubation at eBridge. They got some seed funding from us, and now they want to do the manufacturing center here in Brownsville.
And where are they with that? Because they came to us, I think, last year.
Some time ago, yeah. Last time they came to us and they said, well, yeah, we'll do all the manufacturing in Mexico because it's more cost effective.
Yes.
Have a sales office in Brownsville. That's kind of what we didn't like about it.
It's tough to beat manufacturing costs in Mexico. Their headquarters will still be here within Brownsville. The manufacturing will more than likely still take place majority within Mexico, but they're expanding their footprint and sales, and all that sales tax dollars, they're all going to stay within Brownsville when those sales are made. EtherWorks, they use a NASA tech transfer software to capture carbon dioxide from the air and emit it into greenhouse gases. The legal marijuana industry has actually been really big on this, and they're looking into their second prototype. Embedded, they use wireless RFID technology within sheets to track patients to prevent fall risks and such. And then Pichardi Electronics has this crazy hat that you can put on that kind of assists with migraine efforts. So by the numbers, we've attracted over 8 soft landings. We've funded over 22 businesses. We've had 40 graduates from our program so far. We're going to add another 6 to 7 of those in September. We've created 57 jobs as of last fiscal year, but we're looking at by the end of this fiscal year having 65 more jobs. And we've provided BCIC over $500,000 in seed funding. Our plans are, again, to have 2 more cohorts for the emerging industries section, as well as our SBI, our SDT Innovation Program, and that's in conjunction with Texas A&M. We also are pivoting now to a business advancement fund. I had mentioned before the seed fund with Startup Texas, you'd go through the accelerator, you'd finish, you'd go through a demo day, and then it was a competition to see who would win the funding. It's not right for us to get these cohorts together, get them all to become best friends, and then at the end kind of pit them all against each other. It's really not conductive to creating or fostering this ecosystem of entrepreneurship. So we're pivoting. We're going to allow all of the accelerator graduates that have completed the program to tap into a grant of up to $10,000 that can only be used towards engineering services, prototyping equipment, essential development activities. We're no longer going to allow them to use it for marketing or other purposes like that. It's really for them to scale their business. And it's a little bit more equitable. It doesn't pit them against each other. It doesn't allow those that have gone through the program but then don't end up winning seed fund in the end. Everybody that graduates from the program will be able to access this. We're also going to have a TMAC grant as well, Texas Manufacturing Assistance Center. They're located within the eBridge Center. They are really great at fine-tuning kind of your business. I don't want to call it supply chain, but the assembly sections of businesses down to the nuts and bolts. They'll tell you after an assessment that you need this one coworker to be at this other station for exactly 15 minutes and then move them over, and that's going to save your business X amount of dollars or increase your productivity. They're extremely keen at doing that. To give you an example, we linked up Texas Manufacturing Assistance Center with Come Dream, Come Build over their Dream Build facility, CDCBs, creating those prefabricated homes over in Los Fresnos. It took them 3 months to build one home. After TMAC was working with them for about a year and a half, they now do that in 3 weeks, and they're trying to get that down even faster. And when we're talking about the need for more housing in the area, that's a really big win for everyone, but I think that's a really good testament of how important TMAC is. It does cost money though, so we do have in that Business Advancement Fund assistance for businesses that may need to tap into that. I can give you an example of one right now that's going to look into this grant when we open it up in October. La Pale, they went through our Blueprint Business Program, went through our Startup Texas Accelerator, got seed funding. We're just a finalist in HEB's Quest for the Best. They did not win, but that's okay because HEB still wants them on their shelves. So in March, a Brownsville company will have a product on the shelves of HEB. But more importantly, they're talking to her about a co-packing facility for a wide array of HEB products that'll be here in Brownsville. So that's going to create a lot of jobs. But the catch is their assembly line has to be specific to HEB standards. So that's where Texas Manufacturing Assistance Center is going to be able to come in and assist her with. This is our newest program. It literally starts on Friday. It's the Frontera Leadership Program. So many of the programs that we have within the eBird Center are focused on this sweet spot that we've identified of 25 to 55-year-olds that are starting a business. We've had no problem in recruitment for those efforts, but we do have a problem with anyone under 25 kind of coming in and starting their venture. So this program is geared specifically to them. This is also the demographic that's most likely to leave our community. This was a program that's been around for 5 years at the University of Texas at Austin. We wanted to bring it down through UT, but unfortunately SB 17 cut funding for this types of programs, but we were still able to get the director to come and still open up a cohort. And we'll be starting that this Friday, and it'll end in November. This is also a brand new program, which is something I'd be excited to not only create with Greater Brownsville and even name, because it still has a name pending, but it's also a need that we've identified. We have, BCIC specifically, has stayed out of the realm of aerospace and space-related startup stuff. We really kind of let them go through our Startup Texas program, but we never created one specific for this market. Expanding Frontiers, they were the kind of catch-all space incubator. Their programs have reduced significantly, and the businesses that are coming out of Expanding Frontiers, they're really at an ideation level, and they need a lot more of assistance. And it came to a point where a lot of those businesses were coming directly to the eBird Center seeking further incubation, seeking assistance. So it came to a point where we decided we're doing a disservice if we're not going to have a program specific to them as well. There's a market, there's a need, let's do it. So this would be a brand new program, and in this partnership, we'd love to work with board, staff in developing this alongside UTRGV that would be facilitating it. RGV Startup Week, this is an event that we put on just this past May. It was every community within the Texas Triangle has a version of Startup Week. We had never had one in the Valley. We wanted to ensure that the Valley gets one, but that event stays in Brownsville as well. It was a really well-attended event. We had a wide array of partners that assisted with us in the event. That was the full schedule. It was an 8-day-long event. It's pretty crazy. I really like this slide specifically because it shows the Placer AI software I had mentioned in that ecosystem of entrepreneurship graph that showcases that we had over 700 unique visitors come to Startup Week that week. Their average visit was 1.8, so we had almost everybody come twice. There's some photos of the event there. This slide's really great because it shows what we did in year 1 versus San Antonio Startup Week in year 6. We surpassed them in the amount of sessions that we had, as well as the amount of registered attendees. This is an event that really, I think, kicked off a lot of the drive to a lot of our programs, excuse me, because from this event, we've been just so busy after this. It also could be a coincidence with the end of our quarter and we're starting up a new fiscal year, but it was really intense and it was a great event. Within that event, we also announced the chapter of the first expansion chapter of the Alamo Angels Network. We talk about how access to capital is the #1 barrier for entrepreneurs. We talked about Startup Texas and changing into that business advancement fund. The $10,000 to $40,000 we give to a company is really a drop in the bucket. We needed an organization that would be able to provide to our local entrepreneurs a lot more funding, and that's where Alamo Angels comes in. They are an extremely reputable investment group. They've become, over the last 4 to 5 years, the largest investment group in the state of Texas, overtaking CTAN over in Austin, Central Texas Angel Network. We've partnered with them. We're starting our chapter here. We're hoping to have about 15 members before the end of next fiscal year. And lastly, we have a wide array of trainings, workshop, and specialty series. This kind of is a catch-all for programs. Outside of those standalone ones that I had mentioned, we'll do brand core, like the one I have up here. It assists with businesses with marketing and branding and logo development. We're working with the city of Brownsville and PUB right now on a quarterly permit series called What the Permit. It's focused on Sella training, the new permitting software, getting a little one-on-one time with those within the permitting office that you otherwise can't speak with, and then kind of the flavor of the quarter, if you will, flavor of the week, of issues that they're finding in permitting to let people get ahead of it. We've all heard a horror story or two about permitting in one way or another, and we want to work with the city, want to work with PUB on getting ahead of that, changing the message, and just making a more robust local economy for Brownsville. Here's a quick view of all the events that we'll be doing. This is the most amount of events I've ever participated in since I've been with BCIC. A lot of them are that Blueprint Business Program. It's that ideation level one. But we have our Startup Texas Accelerator programs as well as the Front Data Leadership Institute. We did receive recently an Economic Development Administration grant last November. That's going to be funding some of the Startup Texas Accelerator programs as well as our Blueprint Lab prototyping space. We received close to $100,000 for that equipment, but now we need to retrofit our makerspace to ensure that the fumes and other particles from the equipment safely exit the building. So just kind of a wrap up of the strategic benefits of this proposed partnership. Like I mentioned earlier, our community is really hungry for collaboration, and never has such an extensive or historic proposal been showcased within both of our both of our organizations. It's a lot of work to put something like this together. BCIC has been going at it solo for quite some time, but I think that there's room now to bring in a partner such as yourself. We're really focused on industry at the moment, specifically the burgeoning space industry. We all talk about SpaceX, but in reality, there's going to be a lot of business support services that are going to be able to assist SpaceX. We also want to leverage our combined resources and expertise to make more of an impact for our community. This just came out last week. Brownsville is the second fastest growing high-tech metro. Clearly, a lot of this is due to the impact of SpaceX, but in the same report, they did mention the eBridge Center and the effects of our entrepreneurial ecosystem that we've been trying to build. This is the entire breakdown of the budget, where we're at about close to $1 million in programming, and then the eBridge Center operations itself is about $417,000. $150,000 of that would be the Blueprint Lab prototyping space. And when we talk eBridge Center operations, it is completely and wholly separate from BCIC's operations and funding. It's its own budget, it's its own program. I almost look at the eBridge Center as a program in and of itself. It is the hub, it's the nexus of entrepreneurship. It has UTRGV ECC, Texas Manufacturing Assistance Center, SBA Small Business Development Center, the Data Information Services Center, DISC, the Apex Accelerator from UTRGV, Texas A&M's Engineering Experiment Station, Prairie View A&M University. I mean, the list goes on and on. It is a hub in and of itself. And so I look at eBridge as a program. I listed it here as an operation because it is for the building itself, the maintenance, the security, the communications that come with it, the structural issues in terms of the prototyping space. And with every building, you always get some woes, like right now. Our data center, we actually have a data center that is it's got a cybersecurity defensive contract that allows startups or even just any business that gets a contract with the DoD, they actually have to utilize either an office or if they utilize a data center, one that's up to par for espionage standards, and that's what we have in here as well. On hot summers like this, ACs can kind of break down, so all of that comes out of here. So this is the proposed partnership proposal. We do have some grants that assist us in bringing the costs down of our programming, and the total amount comes out to just a little over $1 million. We would like GBIC to fund 50% of this in its entirety. This is really not focused on a sponsorship, but more of a partnership. And I say that truthfully in that I'd love for either a member of the board or the staff or one of each to be part of the business development committee that oversees the programs, that oversees the applications for the accelerator, that will also help in creating that space-related accelerator we had mentioned.
Nathan,
Yes.
can you back up a couple of slides? Right there. So a lot of the programs that you talked about included a wide array of incubation and startup. Is the funding going to be entirely related to space, or are you going to get some coverage in areas that are not necessarily space initiatives?
Yeah, we're industry agnostic is what we say. The only one that's space specific is going to be that space technology accelerator that we need a name for. Startup Texas, it will now be focused specifically on tech, light manufacturing, healthcare, energy, software development. It will no longer encompass food or service related industries. We had a Startup Texas version called our Startup Texas Quality of Life program that did allow for that. We think that the Blueprint business program that we have, that ideation level is good enough for them. This is just coming from our consultants within their strategic plan. We are, and I didn't include it in here because I thought it would be too late, we are investigating a food-specific accelerator program. But that's still in early ideation talks with some partners, which we'll gladly bring you all in when it's fully baked. But to answer your question, industry agnostic, we do want to focus a little bit more on space, which is where that new program comes out in, but we're helping anyone and everyone.
How many people sit on the business development committee?
4, myself and 3 of my board members.
And we get 1 seat?
Or 2 if you'd like, yeah.
Or 2. You see where I'm going with it?
Yeah.
Probably be best if we're funding half, that we just split the.
Absolutely, we can do 3. And when I say myself, I'm the one presenting, it's really my 3 board members. So we can have 3 and 3. I think that'd be great. Yeah.
That's my comment on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the makeup of which I'll leave to staff and board to decide.
This program here, the $1 million, how much of your total funding does that take out?
About 10%. Close to 10% of our budget. Next fiscal year, BCIC is in a unique position that 50% of our budget will go strictly to quality of life, specifically quality of life programs that come out of the city's master plans. So I would like to point out that the cost savings from this is not just cost savings on BCIC. It allows us to take the remaining $500,000 and put them towards a quality of life or community development program that otherwise would not be able to exist because of the 50% ordinance that now goes to the city. So we'd be partnering on showcasing these programs to the public and covering the costs. We'll be taking those savings and putting them towards quality of life and community development programs within the city. And Greater Brownsville won't have to expend staff time or resources aside from the committee and the one-time financial disbursement in supporting local businesses and entrepreneurs.
When we talk about job creation, how many jobs would this program create?
I tried to get those hard numbers for you earlier, but I can kind of
67.
showcase. With Startup Texas, it was somewhere around 65 jobs that we've created through the accelerator program, 65. With our Kaufman program, it's probably more than that, but I could not get hard numbers for you in time. I'm trying to back up to just show you an example of just these 4 businesses that I have on here. I know that Jolie Petit, if you go there on lunch someday, there's probably at least 15 or 20 jobs there. Warbler Coffee, I know that's at least 5 or 6. IQs, we can argue 2 to 3. And Amori Ban, she's probably at 2 and 3 right now, but I know that she's creating a warehouse to start mass producing her almond flour tortilla, also for HEB and others. So that's at least 10 to 20. So I can get you a harder number on our Blueprint Business Program, which the bulk of our jobs come from. But I wasn't able to do that before this presentation.
Yeah, it's important to us how many jobs.
I absolutely understand. That's why I included in the Startup Texas one. I just could not honestly state it with certainty through the Blueprint program how many jobs would have been created from that.
So with the partnership would we have access to the facility, for example, for your coffee and
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, to do all of that over there instead of using other venues where save a little bit of money also.
Yes, absolutely. I'd love for that to happen. I've actually always wanted to see that happen. We tried to do something like this, not to this degree, last year, and previous leadership just wasn't communicative enough. But we've got a new leader with Jerry. We have a board that's open and willing to think about this, and it's something we'd love to have, actually. Yeah. And this is a pilot program. You know, this is our first year. I wanted to kind of test the waters. If this works out, maybe next year we can look at this as a longer term solution, especially when it comes to the creation of that Startup Texas Accelerator, where we're both creating it at the same time for future endeavors. But that's why we only looked at 1 year and didn't look at this as like a reoccurring 3-year program. I wanted to try it out just the first time this way.
I think it's a great idea. Thank you for bringing it to us. And I did the math, and even at 65 jobs, it's 15,000 a job. It's not crazy, and you can see that it really, I mean, I recognize a lot of the pictures, a lot of the people in them. So, I think it's great. Thank you.
Yeah, and as long as we're going to have equal representation on that board, so.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
I think that would also help just, diversity of opinions and things like that and experience is always helpful. But I think this is a great.
No, I love the idea. I proposed 1 just because I didn't want to impose and say, now you got to give me 3 people. But I mean, the more the merrier. I really do want this to be a true partnership, not just you're cutting me a check and then you'll see me next fiscal year. The community, they spoke a couple months ago. They want to see more collaboration between our organizations. And that's what this is about. They also want to see more quality of life, right? So the savings from that will go towards that as well, that you have played a part in.
I think fundamentally, this is at the core of economic development, right? Incubation and entrepreneurship is something that has been very near and dear to my heart. And to the extent that we do go forward with this, I'd like to volunteer myself as one of his board members. I think this is very important because this is where businesses start. And I think probably the biggest, apart from the ideas and the innovation, a lot of the struggles is, 1 is how do you start a business, and 2, how do you get the funding for it and the seed money? And that is at the core of creating a business. And so to the extent that we can create something here in Brownsville that would help, our people launch a business and become a successful, employer of people, then we'd be part of something really, really cool, I think. And this is it. This is at the heart of economic development, is creating businesses, particularly incubating them. And that is a really neat thing.
Yeah, this recipe isn't new. This is what Austin started doing, 35 years ago. It's what San Jose and San Francisco did 45, 50 years ago. They're the communities that they are now. We're just taking that recipe, but in a unique way, in that, those communities of Austin, San Francisco, San Jose, they have generational wealth. They have private VCs, private companies that do this stuff. We're doing it with sales tax dollars, where we're and in a public university, kind of coming together and mimicking that exact environment, but in a public sector is what's won this organization and this center many awards, and I'd love for Greater Brownsville to be a part of that.
Make a
Just
motion.
one more comment. I mean, echoing on what Ben said, I think I would like to see this as a start where we can partner up to go think outside the box for where we can take it as both organizations, one starting at one down.
Other ends of the pipeline. Yes, sir.
Continue with the streamline of the process and continue to see Brownsville businesses thrive and grow.
Absolutely.
And don't hesitate to reach out to Jerry and bring more things like this to him, because I think that it's given our position as an organization, the things that we've been focused on for the past years and the administrations we've had and where you all are going, there is a large intersection that could occur often. And for whatever reason, it hasn't, but now is an opportunity to begin that dialogue and to begin to create that type of partnership that could benefit the community. So, I'd like to see more things like this. We can't guarantee we're going to approve everything. There's always limits, but hearing these opportunities is certainly something that I think we'd all appreciate. And if we can put something in, we'll see what we can do. But yeah, I think these types are conversations we can just start having as organizations.
Absolutely.
Especially with the ways that things are going and the constraints on money everywhere, right? But if we can unite to find some middle ground and a place we can work out, really love to hear.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think most of the board is kind of in agreement. What do we need to do? Work out a memorandum of agreement or something so we can push this forward?
Wouldn't there be a motion to?
Yeah, but I'm just asking what we.
Yeah, one just quick thought on my mind, it could be a performance agreement and maybe even be reimbursement based. BCIC would pay the facilitators for this program, kind of showcase that and then get paid through that.
Yeah, but I mean, if we're gonna have equal amount of people on
the business development
then
committee,
you
yes.
will also be part of the performance agreement, if you like. We
Yeah,
want to be part
yeah.
of it. So,
Right.
I think.
Maybe more of a contract then.
Work on a memorandum of agreement, not necessarily a contract or anything.
MOU.
but a memorandum of agreement, how we should
Yeah,
work together.
an MOU or.
And then,
What do you think?
what do you think?
I think a memorandum of understanding, an MOU would be like a good starting point. And then we'd have to determine that if it's going to be at the governance level, that the three members would be with the other organization, or what the interplay is, and then how much authority these three members have to speak on behalf of the full board. Because ultimately
Well, it would be a 7-member board, wouldn't it? So.
yes, but the GBIC acts as a board. And so
Okay.
if you send three people, they may not be able to individually.
But this is just for.
And this is just a committee. It's not a, yeah.
Can I finish my motion from earlier? My motion is just that we provide funding initiatives for the amount of $500,000, not just limited to space, because here it's the space only. And subject to legal's recommendations as to how to document that. And move forward.
And I will second that.
With equal board members on the, what committee is?
I will second.
Hold on
her
a second. What is the committee called?
Business Development Committee.
The Business Development Committee. That's my motion.
Nathan,
And I
is that-
second it.
Is that a one-time upfront funding or is it?
Yes.
To go or?
Yeah, we're looking at it one time,
Yeah.
testing the waters. If we like this next fiscal year, we can look into a 3-year plan. But I didn't want to come to you all with such a heavy ask for the first time. This is the first time we're both working like this, so I figured
Believe
we'd
in you
try.
guys, so.
Thank you.
Can we do that?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay. So we have a motion.
And second.
Any discussion?
No.
None. So, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Ayes having the motion passes. Congratulations. Looking forward to
Thank
working
you.
with you.
Thank you all very, very much. It's a new day for Brownsville. It's a new day for both of our organizations, and I'm really excited about it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bring us home, Sal.
Next item, discussion, consideration, and acknowledgement of the Greater Brownsville Incentive Corporation's financials and quarterly investment report presented by Salvador Villalpando.
Good evening, Board. I'm going to fly through the financials so we can get to the budget. So our financials are through 10 months through the month of July. Our assets are at 40.9 million, liabilities at 1.2. The reason why they're substantially higher than normal, the liabilities include a payable to the city for the debt service contribution to the airport of $944,000. Our total net position is 39.7, and that consists of 13.8 invested in capital assets. And then we also have 25.9 in our operating fund balance with 23.8 in undesignated fund balance, and then 2 million designated as per contractual commitments. Next slide, please. So on here, we budget to actuals through the month of July. Revenues are at 7 million, which consists of 5.7 in sales tax, 1 million in interest, 171,000 in sale of land, 17,000 in sponsorships, and 424 in miscellaneous revenues. Expenditures are at 4.5, with 1.9 coming from operating, 1.1 million in incentive, 545 in initiatives, and then as mentioned, we have the 944,000 as a payable to the city for the debt service contribution for the bond that they took out for the airport terminal. Next slide, please. So lastly, for sales taxes through the month of June, in comparison to last year, collections specifically for the month of June, which is highlighted in green, increased by 2.8%. So through the month of June, we collected 5.7 million, which is a 4.6% increase. Taking that increase year to date, we are projected to collect 7.6 for the full fiscal year. That's the summary for the financials, if it's any questions.
Any questions?
Motion to accept.
We have a motion to accept and a second.
Second.
Any discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Next item, discussion, consideration, and possible action, if any, to approve the GBIC fiscal year 2025 budget presented by Jerry Briones.
Okay, budget, guys. You've all seen it?
Yes.
Got questions? Now is the time, or forever keep your peace.
Sal will answer any questions in relation, and I will assist him with anything else that may come up.
I'm going to move forward with the presentation if that's okay. So I'd like to start off by thanking Chairman, Vice Chairman, Mr. Peña, Mr. Gonzalez for your time and input in finalizing the budget. It's appreciated. I'm going to start off with a summary of our budget and then move into the major categories in detail. So overall, we're budgeting 8.5 million in revenues. For sales taxes, we are budgeting a 5% increase of fiscal year 2023 actuals. The reason why we're utilizing fiscal year 2023 is because that's the most recent full fiscal year in collections that we have. We won't know the full collections for this fiscal year until November, since we have that 2-month lag. So with that being said, that 7.6 million that we're budgeting is a 2.5% increase of what we're projected to collect for this current fiscal year. For interest income, we're budgeting 900,000. And for context, for this current fiscal year, we're going to collect about 1.3. So we are budgeting a decrease, and that's mainly considering the fact that as we make large capital outlay payments for the industrial park, we're going to have less funds to invest, and eventually interest rates will begin to decline throughout the year. For expenditures, we're budgeting 21.3 million. 3 million is coming from operating, 1.7 in contractual commitments, and 16.5 in initiatives. Overall, we are budgeting at a deficit of 12.7. With that being said, we're projected to start the fiscal year with a fund balance of 26.3 million and end the fiscal year with 13.6 in fund balance. Next slide, please. So this is just a visual of our budgeted revenues and expenditures. As mentioned, we're budgeting 8.6 million in revenues, with 89% coming from sales tax and 11% in interest income. Expenditures, we're budgeting 21.3, 14% coming from operating, 8% in contractual commitments, and 78%, the majority of it in initiatives. So on here, we have a detailed breakdown of the operating expenditures. In the packet, it does have the detailed categories for each of these line items. This is more of a summary. So overall, for fiscal year 2025, we're budgeting a 1.3% increase in operating expenditures, which amounts to about $3 million. For personnel services and benefits, we saw an increase of 26%. We'll have a slide that covers the positions that are being budgeted for the upcoming fiscal year. The administrative agreement stayed the same. Not until we amend that agreement will we reflect that change in the budget for that account. Materials and supplies, we saw an increase of 26%. So within this category, we budget for community activities for the events that we have throughout the year. That's where most of the increase is coming from, and we do have a slide that highlights the events that we'll be having. Maintenance of buildings and structures, we saw a 47% decrease, and that's mainly because in this current fiscal year, we budgeted $100,000 for the Young House. Most of what was needed to be done in the house was completed this year. We still have some items left, which are roof, rails, and windows. So we're still going to budget half of what we budgeted this year, which is $50,000 for fiscal year 2025. For our miscellaneous category, we did see a decrease of 14%, and that's mainly coming from a decrease in memberships. We took our active memberships, which is $25,000 currently, and we budgeted for a contingency of additional memberships in the amount of $15,000. So that's where our decrease is coming from. Professional services, we saw a 54% decrease there as well. And that's mainly because we identified that most of these professional services can be tied to a specific project. So rather than budgeting for them in a general account, we're budgeting for them, for example, in the industrial park account. Consulting and marketing services, we saw a slight decrease of 19%. And then lastly, landscaping and maintenance, we did see an increase there. And that's mainly coming from the fact that we intend on completing a project that was approved by the board for the North Bronx Industrial Park, which includes monument signs at the entrance of the park, sidewalks, and landscaping. As mentioned, we did have a significant increase in community activities. In total, it's 11 events for a total of $225,000. We're budgeting $70,000 for Space Fest. That was one of our more successful events for this fiscal year. It's a space festival in collaboration with BCVB, which attracted over 10,000 attendees. We're also budgeting $25,000 for Empower Her. That's a new event. It's an international conference in partnership with organizations from Monterrey, aimed to empower women globally with the economic development sector. For Careers and Coffee Expo, we're budgeting $25,000. That's a career fair in collaboration with the city of Brownsville. BTX Developers Tour, we're budgeting $20,000. So that's an event that we have in partnership with RGV Partnership, where we host developers from RGV. We give them a tour of Brownsville and then end the day with a mixer at the GBIC office. We're budgeting $16,500 for an industry appreciation mixer that we host near the holidays around December. $15,000 for Inquieta, which is a women's conference in collaboration with the city of Brownsville, which is led by Mrs. Ramirez. $20,000 for Rally in the Valley, which is an internship expo aimed at connecting students with industry leaders. $10,000 for an industry partner luncheon. $7,500 for groundbreaking events at the North Bronx Industrial Park, and lastly, $1,000 for a networking breakfast event. So on this slide here, we have the positions that are budgeted for fiscal year 2025. It includes the 6 active positions that we currently have, as well as filling the vacancy for the executive director and CEO, and we are budgeting for a new position as well. This slide here has contractual commitments that we have. In total, it's $1.7 million. For Vida, we budgeted $300,000, and that's contingent upon the board renewing their contract. The current one expires in October, so it's dependent on it being renewed. The Creative Liquid Coatings project, a payment was just approved earlier in the amount of $322,000. So we're budgeting for the rest of the balance of that contract, which is $128,000. First National Bank of Texas, the majority of that contract was paid in the current fiscal year. We're budgeting for the balance of it, which is $131,000. Launch BTX Future, we paid half of that contract in the current fiscal year. We're budgeting for the balance of that, which is $105,000. And then lastly, MVP Plastics, we're budgeting $85,000. And then we have the airport debt service contribution to the city of Brownsville. This is year 2 of 3 for that contract, and it's $944,000. Next slide. And then The bulk of our budget, strategic initiatives, which totals 16.5 million. As you can see, last year we budgeted 5.7, now we're at 16.5. The majority of it is coming from 15.5 million budgeted for the industrial park. We also budgeted $300,000 for job and workforce development training, $250,000 for space-related activities, $200,000 for relocation grants, and that's to assist companies relocating to Brownsville in the amount up to $50,000 for each company, $25,000 for professional research, so any research that may be needed for land appraisals or market studies. And then lastly, $250,000 for a strategic initiatives contingency for anything that might come up throughout the year that isn't accounted for as of now. That covers the budget as a whole. If anyone has any specific questions.
Is the 500 here or no?
It is not, so I do have a note. So being that the
So
$500,000
will
request,
The budget is subject to inclusion of that amount?
yes, sir.
Right.
Exactly.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I motion to approve the
Oh,
budget.
I second your motion, sorry.
Right.
I thought you did.
With the exception of adding the 500.
Your motion is to, but that's 500.
Yes,
BCIC.
For BCIC.
for BCS.
Okay, we have a motion.
And I'll second.
Any discussion? Already have had. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good work.
The ayes
Thank
have it.
you.
Motion passes.
Thank
It
you.
works out.
Thanks,
Thank
Al.
you.
Next item, closed session pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, related to Excel Bobbins and Plastic Components, Inc., and SBB Holdings LLC. 551.071 and 551.072, related to the Workforce Solutions Cameron, 851 Old Alice Road. 551.071, related to Project Messer. 551.071 and 551.074, related to the performance compensation of GBIC staff members, individual basis.
Make a motion to enter executive session.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. We're gonna be gone again, and we try to make it short. If you want to wait, you're more than welcome.
Mr. Burkhart, can you come up here?
Okay, I need a motion to go back in open session.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, motion passes. What do we got?
Next item, consideration and action, if any, including but not limited to the adoption of board resolutions related to the item discussed in executive session. Excel Bobbins and Plastic Components, Inc., and SBB Holdings LLC. Workforce Solutions Cameron, Project Messer, and performing compensation for GBIC staff members.
Hopefully we can have a motion to direct this proceeded in executive.
So motioned?
Second.
Any discussion? We got a motion on a second. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, motion passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, I only heard two. All right, thank you very much, everybody, and thank you for coming. It's been a late evening, I know, but thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.